Hello students, I am again here with my second video on the chapter Matter in Our Surroundings. I am taking next topic of that chapter after clearing atom and molecule difference. I am starting with new topic, that is characteristics of matter. You are knowing students that the smallest particle of matter is atom. Now, I am teaching you the characteristics of matter. The particle size of the matter is extremely small. Particle size of matter is extremely small. Particle of matter, which we are calling atom. So we can say that matter can divide into infinitely small particle. How can we say like this? For proving the very small, extremely small particle size of matter, we are taking an activity, and that activity is I am taking 100 ml of water, and in that I am adding KMNO4. What is that? It is potassium permanganate, which is having dark pink color. If we dissolve that in water, the whole water will turn dark pink. If suppose I am taking another beaker, in that I am now taking 90 ml of water and I am transferring 10 ml of colored water from the first beaker into that beaker water will also acquire pink color. Now again I am repeating this activity with third beaker and with the fourth beaker. What you are observing, that the color intensity in each of the beaker is continuously getting reduced, but the color is present in each beaker. We are not adding color in each beaker. We are just taking 10 ml or a spoon full of this colored water. I am adding into the second. From that I am taking 10 ml, adding to the third. I am again taking from the third beaker and adding to the fourth. All the beakers acquire color, only the difference is the color intensity is becoming less. So what this activity mean? This activity means that the matter particle is indefinitely dividing into smaller and smaller particles, and that's why each beaker is acquiring color. You can perform this activity by taking milk also, students. If you are taking milk and you are adding 2-3 drops of milk in one beaker, having in a glass having some water in it, that water acquire white color, it becomes milky. And when you are taking a spoon of that milk or that solution and add into a fresh water sample, then that water sample will also acquire milkiness, and that milkiness will continue. Why this is happening? Because the particle is continuously dividing and becoming smaller and smaller, and this activities are proving that particle size of matter is extremely small. It is indefinitely dividing into smaller and smaller particles. So this is the first active characteristic of matter particle, that particle size of matter is extremely small. Second property I am taking is matter particles have space in between them. Matter particles have space in between them. How can we say like this? Again, I am telling you one activity. Suppose if you are taking water in a glass or in any apparatus, and if you are dissolving sugar into it, as you stir the solution, after some time you observe that sugar becomes soluble or it become disappear. It will You will not able to see that sugar particles into water after dissolution. So where that sugar particles are going, they you will say they are getting dissolved. Okay, they are getting dissolved, but where they are getting disappeared? Actually, students, matter particles have gaps in between, and the sugar particles are getting trapped in the gaps. And when the gap get completed, all the gaps when get fulfilled, after that we cannot able to add more sugar into it, and that time we start calling that solution as saturated solution. So this activity or the dissolution of salt, dissolution of sugar in water or in milk, and as the solute, as whatever you are dissolving, when getting disappeared, this activity is showing that matter particles are having gap in between. That's why the particles are getting trapped there. Now I am moving towards third property, and the third property is matter particles are continuously moving, that particles are in motion. Now to prove this activity again, I am taking a example. I am taking a incense stick, agarbatti. When you ignite that incense stick, you can get its smell to far places also. बहुत दूर तक उसकी स्मेल आप ऑब्जर्व कर सकते हो. Why it is happening? Since the matter particles are moving. Here one thing more I am telling you, students, that the movement of matter particles is more when the temperature is more. Why is it so? Because energy related to motion is called kinetic energy. And that kinetic energy of particles is different at different temperature. If you increase the temperature, kinetic energy also increases. Like again, I am taking another example, like if your mother is preparing food in the kitchen, you can have its smell by sitting in the next room also. Why is it so? Because as the food is hot, you can have its smell in the next room also. Same is the case in smell of perfume. Perfume is in the gaseous form, and that's why you can have its smell to far off place also. So here, students, again I am telling you that one phenomena is taking place, and that is called diffusion. What is this diffusion? Movement of particles from higher concentration to lower concentration. Movement of particles from higher concentration to lower concentration is called diffusion. In the case of hot food, ignited incense stick, or the perfume, kinetic energy or the diffusion of the molecules is more. That's why you can have its smell from the distant, by sitting at distant or quite far place. Because if the food is hot, its movement, its particle move with greater speed, and that's why more is the diffusion, more is the movement of the particles. So matter particles show diffusion. It is maximum in gaseous state, and it is least in case of solid state. It is least in case of solid state. Next property I am taking of matter particle is matter particle have force of attraction in between. Matter particles have force of attraction in between. If we observe solid, it is having definite shape and structure. It is rigid. Do not change its structure. Why is it so? Because that particles inside the solid, atoms or the particles inside the solid, are having force of attraction. Here also I will say, students, that in solid maximum is the force of attraction, and in the gases least is the force of attraction. And that is the reason, students, that gases exert pressure on the walls of the container in which they are stored. Or we can say we can move our hand easily in gases, but we cannot able to move our hand in solid. Why? Because solid particles are very close to each other, they are having large force of attraction. That's why we cannot able to move our hand in solid, but to do so in liquid or gases, it is quite easier. So these all are the properties of matter, students. I hope that you have understood all the properties. Thank you, students.